Hey guys, so in class 3's overview, what we kind of went over was now incorporating more core exercises and whatnot. But before we went into that, what I went over was sets and reps and kind of when you know to move up or to move down, and just kind of quickly go over that overview. What we talked about is there's going to be multiple, levels of fitness. You could be a level 1 or a beginner, or you can be an advanced. All these exercises work great, but how you kind of program them is going to change everything, right? So at the end of the videos, we obviously give you suggestions on where to start, level 1, level 2, level 3. The key thing with this is, start a little bit less. So maybe you feel like you're in advanced, but try level 2 first. Because what happens is if it's a new exercise, your body's not used to doing it, so it may actually work more, create a higher intensity than you realize. And then you can always move up, right? But you can also go down as well. So there's going to be days where you're going to feel great, and you're just doing a great, phenomenal workout. There's other days where you're just sluggish, you feel like a zombie, Take those into consideration. So when we're thinking about sets and reps and whatnot, you have to take into consideration everything else around you, from maybe your treatments, respiratory treatments, maybe you have a clinic visit. It could be that you didn't sleep as well, or maybe you didn't eat as well as you would like to. There could be other stresses with family. Your body's going to tell you how it feels to a certain degree. So when you're doing your workouts, we're not saying don't skip them, but you don't always have to, red light it, go hard all the time. It's more doing the exercises more often throughout a longer period of time will help create a better, outcome over time. So things that could, give you a reference of maybe you fatigued is like I talked about, you feel like a zombie, you're just very tired, your muscles are cramping, you may not feel it in the areas that when you're working, or you're starting to feel some like nagging pain or discomfort. Those are, your body's telling you something, there's indications there. So sometimes it may be better, it's like, okay, I'm going to pull back and maybe not do as many exercises in your circuit. So the circuit that we went through in class 3, we did 4 exercises. Ideally, when I put circuits together, we want to think about 2 to 3 exercises, depending on what you're trying to do. Now, since you're doing multiple exercises, this is where the sets, the reps are going to change. So just remember, there's many ways to do this, okay? So you don't always have to go to the norm or what everyone says. Listen to your body. Your body's going to tell you a lot, okay? So like I said, in class 3, what we talked about is first going back to the breathing. Breathing in through the nose as much air as you can, and then exhaling out as much air as you can as if you're blowing through a straw, right? You're trying to create this, anterior to posterior, trying to expand the rib cage here, okay? And the first exercise we went over with this was this all fours belly lift, in a sense where we're going to tuck the rib cage down. Okay, hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. From this position, I'm going to breathe in as much air as I can through the nose. And when I exhale, I'm going to round my back and keep it tucked, right? So I'm in this position here, rounding and keeping that tucked. When I breathe in again, my ribs are going to want to come up, but I'm going to keep it pinned. This is where it's going to make you use this upper half. You're going to exhale even more, right? So when we did the all fours belly lift last time, or what I like to call quadruped rib tucks, we just talked about the bottom ribs here, right? Now when you get better at this, because we're thinking anywhere from 3 to 5 breaths. So now what you're going to think when you're doing this is, well, after the second breath, so I breathe in, I'm going to think about, I'm going to try now work more of the upper ribs. So what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in, you're already rounded, you're going to think as if there's a string kind of right at your sternum, but it's on the back side of your sternum, and it goes to the top, it pulls out the top of your back, and that's going to pull your sternum even higher, okay? So I'm going to breathe in, round my back or tuck my rib cage on the first 2 breaths. Now breath 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to think about trying to get my sternum more than my lower ribs here, okay? So it's first 2 breaths, then the last 3 breaths. And I'm not pushing in, I'm just trying to get more of my sternum up. Exhaling. And you're going to start to feel more of these upper ribs and up this region here, okay? So that was the all fours belly lift. Now with the all fours belly lift, we're gonna add a little bit of component where we're working one side versus the other, right? So we're gonna do our rib tuck, round, and then I'm gonna subtly bring one arm off, and it's barely off the ground, okay? Tuck the rib cage first, lift up, take 2 breaths, and then bring it back down and then switch sides. So I'm alternating. I've rounded, I stay rounded. I'm alternating, lifting up. And the alternating part is you working one side. So if I'm going to lift up the left in this position, I'm going to focus on tucking the right rib cage down for those last couple breaths. Because remember, the first 2, I rounded, tucked the rib cage. And now if my left is up, I'm going to work on exhaling more on the right, dropping the left down, exhaling there. So now we're working one side versus the other. And that's what our progression was. From here, and then switching off, tucking right because my left is up, dropping, tucking my left now, bringing my right up. So I'm focusing now on my left because it's down here, okay? So either or, start with both hands down, get the abdominals, feel that expansion, then start to integrate the alternation from side to side. And you can even stay on one side. Okay, the second exercise in this circuit we went through was the side plank. So we talked about stack the knees, elbows under hips. Start with the shorter duration side plank because we want to lift the hips up and focus the abdominals. When you go long, you're going to use levers, so my contact point is my feet and my elbow. I have to use everything to stabilize. If I go here, I lift up. Now the big key with class 3 is we talked about, instead of holding here for 30 seconds, do it for breath. So breathe in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. So your abdominal muscles, those core muscles or respiratory muscles, they help you breathe, but they also help stabilize the pelvis and rib cage and motor control. So if we're working on breathing while stabilizing, you're kind of taking those muscles and doing everything they do and putting it into one, right? So I'm here and breathe. Now when I think about time, I may clinch up and use my neck a little bit. So think about when you're breathing, you're going to relax this, okay? The next progression, and I always recommend 3 to 5 breaths. Remember, as you develop this in a circuit, each is going to be a little bit different. So you may do first round 5 breaths, second round you may do 3 breaths because you may be a little bit more fatigued, which is fine. The progression to this is, instead of stacking the feet, cross over. Okay? The reason why I do this is I have a third contact point, both feet. I get more abdominals. Now do it for breaths instead of time. Right? Perfect. So we have 2. The alternating, rib tuck with alternating, right into the side plank, lifting up. Third exercise, our dead bugs. Starting on the ground, lower back pressed in. Keep your lower back touching the turf the whole time. Bring your knees up to 90 degrees ideally. We just don't want them up here. Arms vertical, keep your elbows locked out. You're going to do opposite sides. So as my left leg goes out, my right leg goes back. These stay in what we call our neutral position. Keeping your lower back pressed into the ground the whole time. So your lower back is going to tell you what's going on. Okay? This one we're going anywhere from 3 to 5, slow and controlled. Okay? So that was our third exercise. Now I talked about, we just did 3 core exercises, right? We did the abdominals, we did the lift off, we did the side plank, the dead bugs. Your abdominals and core muscles are going to be tired. Your brain's going to be tired in a sense because it's telling you to do all these exercises. So instead of kind of waiting 20 to 30 seconds, even a minute before your next circuit, we're going to throw in a mobility drill, like a stretch, something to kind of relax the body. We call this quadruped T-spine rotations. So it helps us get our T-spine to move a little bit more effectively and efficiently. So what you do, now if your knees are fine, you're going to shift your body back and kind of sit. Hands going to go back the head, and the tip of the elbow is going to go onto the inside of this elbow here. Slow and controlled. You're going to watch the tip of your elbow. So my eyes are tracking this. I'm going 3 to 5. Slow and controlled. Nice and relaxed. And then you switch sides. Plant, tip of the elbow, and then rotate. From a front view, this elbow's gonna go on the inside. So this is our kind of exercise that we put in between the core exercises. So we're trying to create density to the program. So we do 2 exercises that are hard, and then we do one that just kind of relax, helps us work on mobility. So what it would look like in this series would be, do my all fours belly lift. Third breath, I'm really trying more of the upper ribs. Finish mine, I'm gonna go right into a side plank each side, stack the knees, lift up, tuck. 3 to 5 breaths, flip over, same thing. 3 to 5 breaths. Then I flip my dead bugs, press lower back in. And then I'm exhausted, so then I go into my T-spine drill, right? Go from the angle. So now I've put this mini circuit together where I worked on core exercises, but then I took a low intensity exercise in and stretched. So the big key takeaways from class 3 is we're putting circuits together, but think about putting a couple higher intensity exercises that kind of get your heart rate going or really hard for you in a sense, and then throw in an exercise that's very low intensity. It could be that T-spine drill, it could be a chest stretch, it could be a hip flexor stretch, anything to let the body kind of rewind and like just reset, okay? Now your rest period between these circuits is up to you, you know, test it out. Some of you it may take 30 seconds to bring your heart rate down and repeat. Some of you it may take a minute. It doesn't matter. I always recommend just kind of going how you feel. And each day is going to be a little bit different, okay? So at the tail end of this video, like I said, we'll have different levels you can try. So we're at the point now where we're integrating a couple core exercises with a mobility drill. And this is going to be the kind of the theme for the rest of the kind of circuits is a couple exercises to work core or chest or whatever region we're working. And then we're going to throw in an exercise to help downregulate the system and get you restarted, okay? So stay tuned until next time as we go further and further into more exercises that you can integrate to hopefully help you improve, you know, your quality of life and eventually hopefully a little bit of lung function.